First class? Not for people like you. The words landed sharper than the agent's stare. Passengers ahead, white, well-dressed, were waved through without pause. But when Dr. Olivia Carter and her husband James stepped forward, everything shifted. The scanner beeped. She froze, frowned, and whispered into her headset. Others breezed by. Here she lingered, eyes dragging from their worn sneakers to the bold print on the boarding passes. First class. The message was unmistakable. You slipped into a world where you don't belong. Olivia squeezed James's hand. Hoodies, jeans, anonymity. That's all the crew saw. To them, the couple were intruders. What no one knew, these outsiders weren't imposters. They were the co-founders and co-CEOs of Aerostar Private Aviation, a $2 billion rival to the very airline now humiliating them. And this flight wasn't leisure. It was a test. The first-class boarding line was short. Olivia and James stood quietly, observing. A white woman in her 60s was greeted with a warm smile. A young white man in a suit received a friendly nod. An elderly couple got a cheerful, "Enjoy your flight." Then it was their turn. The senior flight attendant was a white woman in her mid-40s, blonde hair in a tight bun. Her name tag read Karen Bradford. She looked at their boarding passes, then at them, then back. The smile that had graced her face moments earlier vanished. "These seats?" Karen's voice carried unmistakable disbelief. "Are you sure?" "Yes. We booked them 3 months ago," Olivia said calmly. Karen's eyes traveled from Olivia's sneakers to her hoodie, lingering on every casual detail. "May I see some identification, please?" James handed over his driver's license. Olivia did the same. Karen studied the IDs with exaggerated care, holding them up to the light. Behind them, the line was growing. She pulled out a tablet, typed something, frowned. "There seems to be some irregularity." "What kind of irregularity?" Olivia asked. "I'll need to verify with my supervisor." Karen turned away, speaking into her headset. Olivia caught fragments. "First class. Doesn't match the profile." James leaned close. "We could just tell them." "Not yet. I want to see how far this goes." Karen returned with another attendant, Brad. They huddled together, glancing at Olivia and James. Brad examined their boarding passes as if they were ancient artifacts. "Folks, we're going to need a few more minutes. Why don't you step aside?" It wasn't a request. The businessman behind them smiled as he moved forward. An older woman clutched her purse tighter, giving them wide berth. 10 minutes passed. 15. Every other first-class passenger boarded with nothing more than a smile. Finally, Karen beckoned them forward. "You can board now, but we'll need to verify your tickets again once you're seated." As they walked down the jetway, James's hand found Olivia's again. They'd weathered storms before. This was just another storm. But this one was about to hit people who had no idea they were facing a hurricane. As Olivia and James settled into seats 2A and 2B, they felt the weight of attention. The cabin was half full but felt claustrophobic with judgment. Olivia texted her assistant, "Maria, document everything. Need crew roster and manifest for GJ447. Activate protocol witness." Response, "Thumbs up, already on it." A flight attendant named Sarah addressed the couple behind them. "Can I get you something to drink? Champagne? Orange juice?" They ordered with warm smiles. Sarah moved through rows, then past Olivia and James entirely. "Excuse me, could we get some water, please?" Sarah turned back, embarrassment flashing. "Of course." But she served 3 more rows first, finally bringing them bottled water. Everyone else had crystal stemware. Once airborne, Karen moved through with hot towels. She reached their row, hesitated, then set 2 towels on their tray tables without handing them personally. The towels were cold. Lunch service came. Karen recited options without offering menus. "Herb-crusted salmon or filet mignon?" "I'd like to see the menu, and I have a special meal request, a vegetarian option." Karen's eyebrows rose. We don't have any record of that. Maybe you booked with another airline? Olivia held up the confirmation. Global jet confirmation number GJ7849X. Karen barely glanced. System errors happen. I can offer salmon without sauce. That's not vegetarian. It's the best I can do. The businessman across the aisle cleared his throat loudly. Excuse me, but are you folks supposed to be in first class? The cabin went silent. Is there a reason you're asking? Olivia said. Just noticed all the confusion. Thought maybe there was a ticketing error. We paid full fare, James said quietly. Olivia opened her notes app, began typing. Timestamps, names, exact words. James started recording audio, phone face down. Karen was now at the galley speaking to Sarah and Brad in hushed tones. Brad pulled out the crew tablet and captured something on screen. They're documenting us, James murmured. Good. So are we. 30 minutes later, Ryan Mitchell emerged from the cockpit. The head flight attendant was in his early 40s, with polished appearance and careful authority. He stopped in front of their seats, hands clasped behind his back. Folks, we've received concerns about your tickets. I need to verify your documentation. We've already provided boarding passes and identification multiple times, Olivia said. When there are irregularities, we have protocols. His eyes swept over her hoodie with skepticism. What irregularities? Our tickets are valid. Ryan's expression hardened. Sir, I need you to remain calm. Elevated voices are red flags. We're sitting here eating. The only people being defensive are your staff. Lower your voice, Ryan said, hand moving to his radio. A subtle threat. Olivia placed her hand on James's arm. She turned to Ryan, voice calm. We purchased these tickets 3 months ago. We checked in online. We presented valid ID. What additional verification do you need? We've had issues with fraudulent bookings. People using stolen credit cards. We're just being thorough. Have you verified anyone else's tickets? That's not your concern. It's very much my concern when we're the only passengers being subjected to this. Are you accusing me of discrimination? I'm observing a pattern. You tell me what to call it. The businessman inserted himself. Just show him your credit card and let's get on with the flight. Another voice. If there's a problem, they should be removed. You see? You're disturbing other passengers. That's grounds for removal. We're disturbing them? You approached us. I need you to step into the galley. Not a request. They followed Ryan, aware of every eye. Karen and Brad flanked him. Sarah stood aside, uncomfortable. We have the right to refuse service to any passenger we deem disruptive. Your tickets will be re-verified when we land. If there's evidence of fraud, you'll be met by security. Olivia pulled out her phone, opened her banking app. This is my credit card statement. There's the charge, posted 3 months ago. Ryan barely glanced. Digital statements can be faked. The blatant lie stunned her. She kept her voice steady. You're not interested in verification. You're justifying a decision you've already made. That we don't belong here, James said. That people who look like us couldn't possibly afford first class. Ryan pulled out his radio. I think we're having security meet this aircraft. You're exhibiting hostile behavior. We're exhibiting dignity, Olivia said. She typed swiftly. Activate protocol witness, legal on standby, GJ447, time 1427. She looked at Ryan. You're right about one thing. Someone is going to be humiliated today. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Is that a threat? A statement of fact. She showed her notes app. Everything documented. Times, names, quotes. Everything on this flight has been recorded. Your names, employee numbers, witness statements. Recording without consent is perfectly legal on commercial flights. FAA regulations are clear. The attendants exchanged glances. Karen spoke, desperate. We're just doing our jobs. Your jobs are to serve passengers courteously, not to racially profile them. Ryan's face went red. When we land, you're both getting off first, escorted by security. Global Jet will file a complaint about your behavior. Please do. Put everything in writing. There was something in her tone that didn't match her supposed position. But they'd committed. They couldn't back down. Return to your seats. When we land, you'll wait for security. As they sat down, Olivia opened email and typed, Richard, your crew on flight GJ447 is about to cost you everything. Dr. Olivia Carter, co-CEO, Aerostar Private Aviation. She hit send and waited. The atmosphere shifted to openly hostile. David Thornton, the silver-haired businessman, became the spokesman for critics. You pay premium prices, and they let just anyone on board. It's not safe. His wife nodded. They were probably going to rob someone. Sarah approached with coffee. Before she could pour, Karen appeared and took the pot. I'll handle this. She poured 2 cups, set them down without meeting their eyes, then leaned close. You should have cooperated. Now you've made Ryan look bad, and he won't forget that. The only person who's made Ryan look bad is Ryan, Olivia said. Ryan Mitchell has been with Global Jet 15 years. His word against yours, you're going to lose. We'll see. A black flight attendant from Economy, Jennifer, appeared with a cart. When she saw them, sympathy flickered in her expression. Can I get you folks anything? We're fine, thank you, Olivia said, holding her gaze. Brad grabbed Jennifer's arm, pulling her back to the galley. She was being reprimanded for showing basic courtesy. Ryan's voice crackled over the PA. We're conducting a brief security check. Standard procedure. Ryan appeared with a scanner. He worked through first class methodically, professional and courteous with everyone, until he reached row 2. I need to inspect your bags, both carry-ons. On what grounds? I have authority over safety on this aircraft. Thornton called out. Just let him check. What are you hiding? Olivia retrieved her backpack. Go ahead. Ryan spread contents on the tray table. Book, water bottle, wallet, cosmetics bag. He counted the cash, $300, and held it up. That's a lot of cash. It's $300, hardly unusual. For some people. He opened every container in her cosmetics bag, then James's bag, laptop, tablet, papers, airline industry articles. Ryan held up one about discrimination lawsuits. Interesting reading material. I like to stay informed. Ryan pulled out the laptop. I need to turn this on. Verify it's not a threat. You are not searching my computer without a warrant. If you don't cooperate, I will consider you a security threat. He said no. Olivia's voice cut through. You have no legal authority to search personal electronic devices. If you try, we'll add illegal search to our violations list. Ryan grabbed his radio. Captain, we have a situation. Passengers in 2A and 2B refusing security protocols, exhibiting hostile behavior. Recommending security meet the aircraft, possibly divert. Captain Hayes responded, irritated. Have they threatened anyone? Attempted to access restricted areas? No, but... Then we're not diverting. Security can meet us at JFK. Ryan lowered the radio. Security will be meeting this aircraft. I hope whatever point you're making is worth being arrested. We're not going to be arrested. But someone is going to wish they'd made different choices. For the first time, Ryan looked uncertain. He saw a woman sitting with perfect posture, hands steady, eyes holding no fear, only calculating intelligence. Who are you? Olivia smiled. Not friendly. You'll find out soon enough. Ryan stalked away. Olivia checked her phone. 3 emails. Maria. Legal team ready? Global Jet CEO trying to reach you. 5 missed calls. Daniel Okoye. Saw the live stream. Global Jet racism trending. Want me to step in? Richard Brennan. Dr. Carter, I just became aware of the situation. Please call immediately. She showed James. He smiled. He knows. Question is, does Ryan? Ryan reappeared, phone in hand, face pale. He stopped at their row, mouth opening and closing. "Dr. Carter," he said, the shift from ma'am to her title abrupt. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding." "I just received a call from our CEO. He explained that you're in the aviation industry." "Not just in it," James said quietly. "We co-founded Aerostar Private Aviation. We're the CEOs, your biggest competitor." The color drained completely. Behind him, Karen's hand flew to her mouth. Brad looked sick. The cabin went silent. Every passenger who'd been so confident now sat frozen. Thornton's mouth hung open. "You own Aerostar?" "Co-own and co-manage. 12 jets, 40 routes, $2 billion in assets. We flew commercial today to understand how our competition treats customers who look like us." She paused. "I'd say we got a thorough education." Ryan's knees buckled. He grabbed the seat back. We didn't. "No, that's the point. You didn't need to know. You just needed to treat us like human beings, like paying customers." She stood. "The fact that we can buy and sell this airline doesn't change what happened. It just changes the consequences." The final 30 minutes were pure discomfort. Ryan retreated, face ashen. Karen and Brad avoided the front. The vocal passengers sat in mortified silence. Thornton hid behind noise-canceling headphones. Rachel Morrison, the woman who'd been live-streaming, stood and approached. "Dr. Carter, Mr. Carter, I'm Rachel Morrison. I've been filming everything. I've posted it to Twitter and Instagram. It's going viral. I wanted you to know there are witnesses." Olivia nodded. "Thank you, Rachel. That took courage." "It took nothing. What happened to you is disgusting. I'm ashamed I didn't say anything at first. But I'm saying something now." She looked around. We should all be saying something. This was racial profiling, pure and simple. An older man in row 4 raised his hand. "She's right. I didn't say anything and I should have. I'm sorry." A Latina woman stood. "I recorded some too, and I'll testify if needed. This was wrong." One by one, a handful spoke up. Small redemption, but Olivia was grateful. The plane began descent. Captain's voice. "Flight attendants, prepare for landing." No mention of security. As wheels touched down, Olivia's phone showed 17 missed calls. 8 from Richard Brennan plus CNN, MSNBC, The New York Times. No one moved after landing. They waited to see what would happen. Captain Hayes emerged. White man, mid-50s, gray temples. He looked at Ryan, then the Carters. "Dr. Carter, Mr. Carter, I've been in communication with headquarters. They've asked me to convey their profound apologies. Security will not be meeting this aircraft. Instead, they've requested you contact CEO Richard Brennan." "How considerate," James said. Captain Hayes' jaw tightened. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should have intervened sooner. I heard enough to know it wasn't right. I've seen things like this before. I should have stopped it." First, genuine apology. Olivia inclined her head slightly. "You were flying the plane, Captain. Your first responsibility is safety. But you're right. Someone should have stopped it." The door opened. A man in an expensive suit ran on. "Dr. Carter, Mr. Carter, I'm Robert Matthews, VP of Customer Experience. I cannot express how horrified we are. Please, if you could come with me to our private lounge." "No," Olivia said simply. "We're going to exit like every other passenger. We're going to collect our luggage, then we're going home. If Global Jet wants to discuss this, contact our legal team, Maria Gonzalez. I'm sure you can find her number. But please, we need to resolve this before it escalates." "It's already escalated," James said. "It's been escalating since Houston. You're just now noticing because you just realized who we are." They walked past. As they moved through first class, Rachel started a slow clap. A few joined. It wasn't triumphant, awkward and uncomfortable, but something. At the galley, Ryan pressed against the wall. Karen cried silently. Brad stared at the floor. Ryan found his voice. "Dr. Carter, please, I have a family. I didn't mean—" Olivia stopped, turned, eyes holding no warmth. You didn't mean to get caught. There's a difference. She paused. How many other passengers have you treated this way? Passengers who didn't have resources to fight back? How many people have you humiliated simply because they didn't look like they belonged? Ryan opened his mouth. No words came. You should have treated us well because it was right, not because of who we are. That's the lesson you're never going to learn. They exited. At least 20 Global Jet employees waited, terrified. Robert trailed, begging. James turned. The damage to your reputation is the point. The damage is the consequence. We're not here to protect you from that. At baggage claim, Olivia called Richard Brennan. First ring. Dr. Carter, thank God. Please, here's what's happening. Your crew violated FAA anti-discrimination regulations. They harassed paying customers. They conducted illegal search, all in front of witnesses and cameras. Aerostar's legal team will file complaints with FAA and DOT within the hour. We'll file civil lawsuit. Let's discuss this reasonably. James took the phone, speaker on. We tried reasonable. Reasonable was sitting quietly while your crew treated us like criminals. Reasonable was complying with every absurd request. We're done with reasonable. What do you want? Justice. Accountability. Change. We want Ryan Mitchell, Karen Bradford, and Brad Hayes fired, not suspended, fired. We want complete overhaul of Global Jet's discrimination policies, public, transparent, measurable. And we want admission, public and unequivocal, that this was racial profiling. The first thing happens within the hour. The rest needs time. 30 days for a comprehensive plan. If we don't see real change, we'll use every platform to make sure every person of color in America knows how Global Jet treats passengers. She hung up. James wrapped his arm around her. You okay? Olivia leaned into him, letting herself feel the exhaustion, anger, hurt. No, but I will be. Once we make sure this never happens to anyone else. Maria called. Boss, your Global Jet racism is #1 trending. CNN wants an exclusive. NAACP wants a joint statement, and you have over 100 messages from people sharing their own stories, people who've been treated the same way but didn't have your resources. Olivia closed her eyes briefly. Set up a press conference for tomorrow and start collecting those stories, all of them. We're going to make sure they're heard. As they walked out into the New York evening, James took her hand. Their 15th anniversary trip hadn't gone as planned, but perhaps it had gone exactly as it needed to. Behind them, Robert Matthews made the call he'd been dreading. Security? Escort the entire crew of GJ447 off airport property. Yes, all of them, and notify HR. We're terminating 3 employees immediately. The storm had only just begun. Within 48 hours, 3 lives collapsed. Ryan Mitchell checked his phone after landing. 347 notifications. Twitter mentions were nightmares of rage. Someone had found his LinkedIn and posted screenshots alongside video clips. His daughter called crying. Kids at school had seen it. His wife had seen it too. Global Jet's termination call came at 11 p.m. Your employment is terminated immediately for violations of anti-discrimination policy, unauthorized harassment, and conduct unbecoming. 72 hours to return company property. Ryan tried to argue. The line went dead. 15 years ended with 5 minutes. Karen Bradford went on Facebook to defend herself. Just doing my job and people taking things out of context. It went viral for all the wrong reasons. Her termination came even faster. Worse, she'd lied on her incident report, claiming the Carters were abusive. Aerostar's legal team uncovered audio recordings from passengers' phones and the cabin intercom system, proving she'd fabricated allegations. Brad Hayes thought he might escape with suspension, but his role in the illegal search was documented. Global Jet fired him too. His girlfriend broke up with him. His landlord asked him to leave after other tenants complained. Job applications went unanswered. David Thornton was identified in videos and tagged to his employer, Pinnacle Capital Management. Within 24 hours, clients demanded his removal. Pinnacle fired him for behavior incompatible with company values, using a morals clause. His severance, millions, was reduced to legal minimum. His name disappeared from the company website within an hour. Within a month, he was unemployable in his industry. For Global Jet, the damage was catastrophic. The Department of Transportation investigated and found no formal anti-bias training, no clear discrimination protocols, and a pattern of dismissing complaints from passengers of color. Internal emails showed management had been aware but prioritized crew autonomy. 3 months later, DOT findings. Global Jet had systematically violated the Civil Rights Act. Fine, $50 million, plus federal consent decree requiring mandatory training, passenger rights advocates, quarterly audits, a $10 million compensation fund, and complete overhaul of procedures. Stock dropped 23%. Corporate clients suspended contracts. Richard Brennan testified before Congress. Jennifer, the kind flight attendant, filed a whistleblower complaint detailing years of workplace discrimination. Her complaint opened floodgates. Within 2 months, 73 employees filed complaints. Class action lawsuit, $40 million in settlements. The FAA permanently revoked Ryan and Karen's aviation credentials. They would never work for any airline, anywhere in the United States. Karen also faced a $15,000 personal fine for false reports. Aerostar established the Dignity in Travel Foundation, funded with the $5 million Global Jet settlement. The foundation provided legal support for travelers experiencing discrimination, scholarships for students of color in aviation, and funded bias research. They announced a partnership program. Airlines implementing Aerostar's anti-discrimination training received certification. It became industry standard within 2 years. 3 months after the incident, Olivia appeared on 60 Minutes. "Do you feel vindicated?" "No. I feel exhausted. I feel angry that it took us having power and resources for anyone to care about what happens every day to people who look like us. I feel heartbroken for every person who's been treated this way and couldn't fight back." "Would you fly Global Jet again?" Olivia smiled slightly. "Why would I? We own our own airline." It got a laugh, but she turned serious. "The real question is, will other people feel safe flying Global Jet? Will they trust they'll be treated with dignity? That's what Global Jet has to earn back." The interview showed the original video. Ryan's face, red with anger, Olivia's face, calm and certain. The contrast was stark. Most watched 60 Minutes episode in 5 years. And in living rooms across America, people recognized dignity isn't negotiable. And power isn't always visible until it needs to be. 3 months later, Olivia and James stood on stage at the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. The auditorium was packed. Activists, students, travelers who'd experienced discrimination, and airline executives who understood this was a watershed moment. Olivia stepped to the microphone, dressed simply in a black pantsuit. "That day on Global Jet Flight 447, my husband and I weren't just 2 passengers being humiliated. We were stand-ins for millions, for every black traveler asked to prove they belong, for every Latino family separated and questioned while white families bored without incident, for every person of color made to feel like an intruder in spaces their humanity should guarantee them access to." She scanned the audience. "We had advantages most people don't: wealth, legal resources, a platform, power that made people pay attention. But here's what haunts me. What about everyone who had the same experience but couldn't fight back? How many are still out there making passengers feel unwelcome, unsafe, unworthy, and getting away with it?" James took the microphone, delivery more raw and emotional. "I want to talk about what it felt like to sit in that seat. To know I'd done everything right and still be treated like I'd stolen something. To see my wife, a doctor who's saved lives and built a billion-dollar company, be talked down to like she was a criminal. To know that if we'd been white, none of it would have happened." His voice cracked. "That knowledge does something to you. It builds up over a lifetime. Every store clerk who follows you. Every cop who stops you for no reason. Every time someone clutches their purse, it accumulates like a weight on your chest until you can barely breathe. He looked at the audience. We fought back because we could. But fighting back shouldn't require power. Being treated with basic human dignity shouldn't be something you earn through wealth or status. It should be the floor, not the ceiling. Olivia returned. Systems don't change because they want to. They change because they're forced to. They change when the cost of staying the same becomes unbearable. Every person in this room has power. The power to speak up when you witness injustice. The power to record it. The power to amplify voices of those who can't fight back alone. We didn't create global jet racism, James added. Rachel Morrison did. She was just a passenger with a phone and a conscience. She saw something wrong and documented it. That's power. That's how change starts. Olivia nodded. The flight attendants who came forward after, the ones who said, "I've seen this before," and was too scared, that's power. The passengers who filed complaints they'd been sitting on for years, that's power. The other airlines that looked at Global Jet and said, "We need to fix this." That's power responding to power. She took a breath. I'm not going to tell you this had a happy ending. Ryan Mitchell's career is over, and maybe that's justice, but it doesn't undo years of passengers he mistreated. Global Jet paid $50 million, but money doesn't erase trauma. The system is changing, but slowly, and people are still being hurt. What I will tell you, James said, is that the fight matters, that demanding dignity is never wasted effort, that being uncomfortable for a few hours to expose a systemic problem was worth it. Olivia's voice softened. When we started Aerostar, we did it because we were tired of asking permission to exist. We built our own table. But most people just want to sit at the one that already exists and be treated fairly. That's not too much to ask. That's the bare minimum. So if you take one thing from our story, James said, let it be this. Don't wait for someone with a platform to speak up. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for someone else to stand up. Because if everyone waits, nothing changes. But if everyone acts, even in small ways, everything changes. The applause built to a standing ovation, but they didn't bask in it. They simply nodded and left the stage. Because this wasn't about applause. It was about the 17-year-old black girl in the third row who was thinking about becoming a pilot and now believed she could. The flight attendant planning to report discrimination. The white businessman who felt uncomfortable and knew he needed to sit with that discomfort. Change doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in small moments after, when people decide to do something different. And as they walked out hand in hand, they carried the same thing they'd carried onto that flight. Dignity, purpose, and an unshakable belief that the world could be better if enough people demanded it. 6 months later, Olivia sat in Aerostar's Atlanta headquarters, looking out over the skyline. One wall held photos, their first plane, their wedding, the team that built Aerostar, and now a framed screenshot of that viral video with a plaque, "The day we remembered why we fight." Before an interview with Teen Vogue about the scholarship program, she pulled out her phone and opened voice memo. This had become her ritual, speaking directly to people who might be listening. The unfiltered version. She hit record. If you're hearing this, you probably know our story. Maybe you've seen the videos. Maybe you've experienced something similar and saw your own pain reflected. I want to talk to you directly, not as a CEO, but as someone who knows what it feels like to be dismissed, devalued, and dehumanized simply for existing in a space someone else decided you didn't belong in. Here's what you need to understand. You don't need to own an airline to make a difference. You don't need wealth or power or a platform. You need courage to speak up when you see injustice, courage to record it, courage to stand beside someone being mistreated, even if it costs you something. Rachel Morrison was just a passenger with a phone, but she changed everything. Jennifer was just one person in a massive company, but her whistleblower complaint opened the door for 73 others, One person, one phone, one choice to say, "This is wrong." That can be you. If you witness discrimination, on a plane, in a store, at work, anywhere, document it. Record it if you can safely. Report it. Don't let it slide because it's uncomfortable. Because while you're worried about awkwardness, someone else is experiencing trauma. And if you're the person experiencing discrimination, if you're being profiled, questioned, treated as less than, know this. You are not alone. You are not imagining it. Your experience is valid, and your anger is justified. Fight back in whatever way you can, and if you don't have resources, reach out. The Dignity in Travel Foundation exists for exactly this reason. But here's the hard truth. Not every fight will end like ours. You might not get justice. You might speak up and lose something, a job, a relationship, safety. That's the reality of fighting systems that weren't built for you. So why do it? Why fight when odds are stacked against you? Because every person who fights makes it easier for the next person. Every complaint filed, every video shared, every voice raised adds to the weight that eventually tips the scale. Our fight was easier because of civil rights activists who came before us, who filed lawsuits and sat at lunch counters and demanded change when it cost them everything. The next fight will be easier because of ours, and the one after that will be easier because of yours. That's how change works. It's not one hero fixing everything. It's a million small acts of courage that accumulate over time until the unbearable becomes unacceptable, and the unacceptable becomes illegal, and the illegal becomes unthinkable. So, here's my call to action. 1. If you have power, even a little, use it to protect those who don't. If you're a manager, stand up for your employees. If you're a customer, stand up for other customers. If you're a witness, be a witness. 2. Support the people and organizations doing this work. Donate if you can. Amplify if you can't. Share stories. Demand accountability. 3. Do the internal work. Examine your own biases. Educate yourself. Ask hard questions. Be uncomfortable. Growth happens in discomfort. 4. Don't wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. There's only right now, and the choice you make right now to either perpetuate injustice or work against it. The world is watching. Not just watching us, but watching you. Watching how you treat the person next to you on the plane, the person behind you in line, the person serving you coffee. Every interaction is a choice. Every moment is an opportunity to either perpetuate systems that crush people or to dismantle them brick by brick. Choose wisely. Because as we learned, you never know who you're dealing with. But more importantly, you should never need to know. You should treat everyone with dignity because it's right, not because you're afraid of consequences. We chose courage that day on Flight 447, not because we're special, not because we're heroes, but because we had resources to fight and the responsibility to use them. And now we're asking you to choose courage too. In your own way, in your own life. In the moments when it's easier to stay silent but necessary to speak up. Because here's the truth. Collective action works. Solidarity works. Speaking truth to power works. It's slow, it's hard, it's exhausting, but it works. Every major social change came from ordinary people deciding they'd had enough and refusing to accept the status quo. You are one of those ordinary people. And ordinary people, when they come together, are anything but ordinary. So the next time you see someone being treated poorly, racially profiled, sexually harassed, discriminated against, ask yourself, what would I want someone to do if that were me? And then do that thing. Pull out your phone, say something, stand next to them. Make it clear you see what's happening and you don't accept it. Be the Rachel Morrison in someone else's story. Be the Jennifer who finally blows the whistle. Be anyone except the person who stays silent and comfortable while someone else suffers. They told us we didn't belong in first class, but we belong everywhere. And so do you. Never forget that. And never let anyone tell you, or anyone else otherwise. She looked directly into the camera. Respect isn't earned, it's given. And justice isn't optional, it's non-negotiable. She stopped recording and smiled. A real smile, full of hope and determination. Because she knew that somewhere, someone was listening. And that someone might be exactly who the world needed them to be. The interview would happen in 10 minutes. More interviews would follow, more speeches, more fights. But for now, in this quiet moment, Olivia Carter felt something she hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not because the work was done, but because the work was continuing. And that was enough.